is broadcast on LSL Podcast Channel. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel.
That is, of course, a voice you may not recognize hearing him sing, but that is Jerry Lewis, who we lost yesterday, the age of 91. Raymond Arroyo sitting in for Laura, who is here, but not here. I mean, she's here in studio. She's just not at the mic yet. But I have to tell you, I interviewed Jerry several times, and, gosh, hearing him makes you want to cry. For young people, I think they don't appreciate the giant that Jerry Lewis is and was. I mean, an innovator in film, a guy who led, for those of us who are, in our 40s and older, you remember Jerry Lewis. There was no Labor Day without Jerry Lewis. I mean, do you remember? You all don't even know. Do you remember this at all, James?
I don't remember the telethons.
Gosh.
I just know the legend that is Jerry Lewis and appreciate him and seen some of his older stuff.
When I was a kid, this shows you what kind of kid I was. I would wake up on it was a 24-hour thing, so it would start the night before, okay, like on the Saturday or maybe the Sunday night, and then go to Monday till Labor Day. Well, I would wake up in the middle of the night and then get up really early in the morning to see the acts. Because he would have circus acts, he would have jugglers, comedians, Sinatra, Sammy Davis, all these people I had grown up with. I had a great-grandmother in the house who worked at the Sands Hotel, so she knew these people. They weren't, abstractions. And so that's who really introduced me to so much of this music. But with Jerry, it was a cavalcade. It was like a talent show of the greatest talents in America, raising money for this amazing cause for MDA. He did such incredible work, billions of dollars raised, which I asked him about. The big mystery was, why did Jerry Lewis, an amazing filmmaker, a man who coined techniques we still use today. You've seen video playback. When they shoot a movie or a television show, there are no dailies, where they show you the footage. You watch it right after you're finished. They have video. So what Jerry was the first one on a film set. He went to Sony Corporation in the 50s and got them to put a video camera, mount it next to the film camera so he could watch his performance, because many times he was directing the film. So today, all over the world, when a film is shot, it's video feedback, video assist. That video assist was Jerry Lewis's innovation, which people forget. Here's what happened when I asked him, why did you do the MDA telethon for all those years, for decades, 6 decades? You and Dean did really one of the first telethons at Carnegie Hall.
Right.
Live in New York. And then years later, you take this on, this incredible broadcast. 45 years, you raised $2.6 billion.
61 years.
Toto.
$2,500,000.
Why did you do it for so long, Jerry?
Because I kept getting the money.
What was the first impetus? Why devote so much of your time at the beginning to muscular dystrophy?
Because I had to get the country to know about it.
Was it someone you met who had muscular dystrophy? There's so many stories about the origins of your involvement in MDA. What was it?
The truth of the matter was that I was shocked at how successful we were with the first one. Mm-hmm. Then the second, then the third, then the fourth got me, and the fifth said to me, you got to do this a lot. To raise $2.5 billion, who's going to do that? I mean, ever again.
He was a giant. I
mean,
Laura,
it's
people don't
interesting.
Appreciate how
it's interesting to see and hear reaction from the millennial generation, whose idea of their comedians are maybe Adam Sandler or Vince Vaughn or Chris Rock maybe, or but all of them would say he's a giant because true comedians actually study the greats. They
Jim
study
Carrey,
the best.
Robin Williams, those people got their inspiration from
him.
Jerry Lewis.
Who else was commenting yesterday about him was who I saw in 1985, but I never got the duo Penn and Gillette. Gillette.
Yep.
So I saw him yesterday on CNN, and again, I never understood the Penn and Teller.
Their routine.
I never understood their routine. It was never something that made me laugh. But to hear him talk about him, he was getting choked up.
Yep.
He said without him, we wouldn't have had any comedy duo. And he was able to spend some time with him over the past 4 or 5 years where he talked about how many comedians back in the 40s and 30s and 40s who were trying to make the country laugh at a very difficult time and yet did not get political. They were not – the country was a different place, so you have to go back and remember the country – the country was united in most ways. In certain ways, of course not. You had Brown versus Board of Education that came 10 years later. In the 50s, it was before the Civil Rights Movement. So I'm not trying to say everything was hunky-dory and by any stretch of the imagination, but there were certain things that we were together on. Well, the flag, patriotism.
The country was unified after the war, and that's when
of course.
Lewis and Martin hit. Or Martin and Lewis. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis hit right after the war, and the country was looking for something romantic
a release.
And something zany.
Yeah.
They wanted a release. They wanted that moment. But you know what I was amazed at? He shared this with me. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, part of their routine.
It's great that Drudge has does Drudge still have your thing up? That's awesome.
The link is up there to the interview.
That's
you can
awesome.
watch it
Thank
there.
you, Matt Drudge, for linking to that. That's a great.
Very nice.
It's great because there are so many other videos out there where he, They didn't really get us very far with Jerry. You really got a lot out of him.
Well, it was his life. He was in that place. I think people are ready to talk at a certain point in their life, and then they don't want to talk again,
right.
or they've already they
said
haven't spoken until then. He had a secretary he would hire. This shows you the genius of the man. At 23 years old, the secretary sat in the front row of the show that he and Dean Martin were doing. They would improvise moments and build on other things they already had in the act. He would have the secretary time the laughs. How much time between the delivery of the joke to the laugh and till the end of that laugh? That's how precise he was about this act. And you see, for Dean Martin, it got so particular, and Jerry started taking control of it. Dean felt hemmed in. He wasn't that kind of performer. Dean was easy and loose and improvise and go with the flow, but he was actually the natural
What did
comedian.
he say at the end of his life about Jerry Lewis? I know they had their big split and all that, but did Dean Martin, what was his last comments about it? They did.
They reconciled. They saw each other in Vegas a few times. Dean's son died, and Jerry was there for him.
Okay.
So at the end, they reconciled. But they didn't talk for 20-something years until Sinatra brought them together.
Oh, I was going to say,
on that famous
the chairman
MDA.
the chairman of the board had to step in to get the whole thing settled.
And he engineered it. He didn't tell either of them what he was doing. He said, "Dean, I need you to come. We're going to make a spot."
Did he like both of them the same, or was he closer to Jerry than with Dean?
He was closer to Dean, but he was friends with both of them. And you have to remember, when that split happened, friendships drifted apart. And, we opened with Rockabye Your Baby, Jerry singing that. He sang that for Judy Garland, who had strep throat right after the breakup of Martin and Lewis. Judy Garland couldn't sing at the Flamingo and said, "Would you step in?" Jerry did the whole 55 minutes with Judy Garland sitting next to him on stage, and they didn't have any music. So he said, "Well, hell, I'll sing Judy's songs."
It was just a cappella.
So the band, he sang Judy Garland's arrangements. Then he went into the studio and recorded it and sold 1.4 million copies of the album. Jerry Lewis sings.
So he had how many wives? How many times?
Only 2 wives.
2 wives.
He had a woman, Patty Lewis, he married, who he had 4 sons with, or 5 sons.
Did she die, or did they get divorced?
She's still alive and living in Vegas. And then he married Sandy, his second wife. They adopted a little girl. And he was a conflicted, amazing, a genius, though. The man's brilliance. Many journalists complained to me or wrote letters or emails to me after they saw my interview. What did you do to him? He was never that nice or kind to me. He respected intelligence. If you weren't smart enough to sit across from him and you hadn't prepared, he had no time for you.
He was like Elaine Stritch that way.
You bet.
Elaine
or
Stritch.
like other people I know. Anyway,
dumb doesn't work for me.
No.
I'm sorry, dumb. If this something is your job,
do it well,
and you must do it to the best of your ability, because I have no patience for it. I've got to say, I have no patience for it.
So when people came in and said, "So tell me, what was it like working with Dean Martin?"
What was it like working? The interview's over.
Yeah, and that's what he would go. It was great. Next.
Oh no, he'd give them nothing.
Deadpan, kill them.
Because he, and it's hard when he's as smart as he was. And then you see these people coming along behind you who are just, "Oh my God, you're a comedian? You're not making anybody laugh. You're making everybody angry."
You realize he would bring Count Basie in to score a part of the thing, and then he'd choreograph
I wish I was alive. I wish I was alive in that time, in the 40s and 50s.
He gave me a little hint into his magic. He gave me some insight into why he worked, and the kid, that zany character he played, really worked.
That's part of what Jerry's magic was. An audience never knew where he was going.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't know a lot of times. And he had the courage to go for it anyway. And he trusts his instinct. He trusts it like crazy. And if it works, he'll trust it again. You cannot overdo perfect.
Huh.
If you do perfect, leave it alone.
That, he did perfect many times. He was an amazing. It is only now, when I talk to kids and I talk to a lot of them, they don't know who Jerry Lewis is.
Of course they don't. My staff doesn't know who Jerry Lewis is. They've never seen a real. They don't understand why he's great.
You need to go see The Nutty Professor, Cinderfella.
Hilarious.
Watch these great classics. And if you watch the interview that we posted, Drudge has it. We have it on your website and mine. We have great clips of him. You'll see what a giant contribution to cinema this man made. And he's right up there with Charlie Chaplin.
I always think about the kids who grow up in the business, and some grow up
normal
to do great things and have a somewhat normal, whatever that means, life. Some grow up into a complete mess in the business, in the business of entertainment, news even. And when you look back to his father, Danny Lewis, doing vaudeville, and then bringing along his 5-year-old to do the pratfalls on the stage at all these Jewish hotels in New York in the 30s.
Yeah.
He was born in 1926, so my mother was born in 1920, okay? That time was a brutal time. Everyone's like, oh, things are so hard in the United States now. Get out of town. Mm-hmm. Things are hard in the United States because you don't have Wi-Fi for 24 hours or because MSNBC says that race relations are an all-time worst. You know when race relations were all-time worst? When the cities were burning in 1968. Race relations were pretty bad then, okay? Mm-hmm. We'll get through this. But we didn't have a media that was cheering against America back then. We had a media, for the most part, who were lifting America up when she needed to be lifted up. And he understood that as a little boy. And so his father and his mother was a great piano player. She could pick up any song. So the music was in his ears and the comedy was all around him all the time. Yep. It's hard to be, I think, whether it's, you look at all the great musicians, there are very few great musicians or great actors who didn't have it in their blood.
Or a mentor.
Or a close mentor. But his parents, they marinated him in this. Mm-hmm. And he grew up stage to stage. He said he said in one interview I was watching last night, the stage was my home. The stage, different stages, platforms, stages. He loved the feel and smell of the stage. You know that wood, when the wood gets kind of old and kind of musty? He said people thought that was a horrible smell. I love that smell. That was my home. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
No, he loved
From
crowds.
5 years old. And then he would practice the falls. His father would watch him as he practiced the falls. Like, no, you got to roll this way. You got to fall this way. You got to stand right back up and look like you're. It's hilarious. Anyway, we'll take a break. Raymond's blessed to have gotten to know him, and we have to start on something positive on a Monday. Yep. People are looking for relief in this country. They're looking for relief. I turned on that MSNBC for 5 minutes this morning. 5 minutes, and it was like it could have been the 5 minutes from last summer.
It's a downer. It's all a downer.
With the Chiron. How GOP unsure and concerned about Trump's about Trump's handling of issues. Couldn't that have been a year ago during Khazir Khan, during the McCain, during the
Access Hollywood,
Billy
video.
Bush?
Yeah.
I mean, Mexican judge. It's always over. They're always writing Trump's epitaph. Always writing Trump's epitaph. And every day I wake up and I say, you know something? The economy's chugging along. His numbers are about where they were when he was elected. And I think hardworking Americans across this country see through the crapola that's being pushed by the American media 24/7 to divide us. And they're tired of it.
And we should ask people, your memory of Jerry Lewis and Labor Day.
Oh, Labor Day.
That
MDA absolutely.
Telephone.
I used to roll my eyes when I was a kid. I was like, I'm sick of this. I want my regular. I wanted regular TV programming. I was really upset because all the other shows were off.
And I'm waiting for Sinatra and Stephen Eady to show up.
Oh, you're ready? Yeah. And I'm like,
I'm
like
up in
mad.
my
Like,
pajamas.
where's the Partridge Family? They're supposed to be on now. 855-40-LAURA. We'll take a break. Please watch the interview that Raymond did with Jerry Lewis. He spent a lot of time with him. This was a classic interview at the end of his life. 855-40-LAURA, your best memory of Jerry, and especially Labor Day weekend. Do you remember it as I did as a kid? We'll take a break. We have a lot more to get to, as it looks like Trump is going to order a surge of troops in Afghanistan. If early reporting is correct, we'll see. He's going to give a major address to the nation tonight. I will be on a special report and Hannity tonight, both shows, so make sure to tune in. We'll take a break. Don't go away. No matter where you're headed, driving season's in full swing this summer, and an unexpected car repair can cost hundreds, even thousands to fix, ruining your road trip. That's why I recommend getting extended vehicle service protection from CarShield. A new water pump, that could set you back over $500. Replacing your air conditioner can cost as much as $1,500. A new engine could cost over $5,000. So get covered by CarShield, affordable protection that can save you thousands for a covered repair. And not just mechanical repairs. Your car's computer, GPS, electronics, even a simple repair to a sensor can cost over $1,000. With CarShield, you can have your favorite mechanic or dealership do the work on the car, and CarShield gets them paid directly. Sign up today, and you'll get 24/7 roadside assistance in a rental car while yours is in the shop. Save yourself from high repair bills with CarShield. Call them at 800-CAR-6100 and mention the code Laura, or visit carshield.com and use the code Laura to save 10%. That's carshield.com, code Laura.
A deductible may.
What do you think about the refugees? Allowing these
Refugees should stay where the hell they are.
They say there's a humanitarian crisis. They're fleeing. They have to come to America.
Hey, nobody has
and
worked
Europe.
harder for the human condition than I have. But they're not part of the human condition if 11 guys in that group of 10,000 are ISIS. How can I take the chance? I don't want to lose another Frenchman or another Englishman. That bothers me.
Through the wind.
That's a very cruel but very Jerry thing to do, Raymond, of using that iconic song for the telethon for such a harsh answer about the refugees. You so egged him on in that question. Oh, but they're here only to help us, actually. They don't even want help. Yeah, get them the hell out of here.
Refugees should stay where the hell they are.
Okay, can I say something? That soundbite is going to live on for years here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Lee in New York on line one. Raymond Arroyo is one of the great interviewers in the United States. He gets stuff out of people that other people don't. Lee, go ahead.
Laura, I just wanted to say, first of all, that I'm a big fan of yours, and I love you. And I want to say about Raymond, I saw his interview last night, and it was just, I think, the best one ever done. And I think with Jerry, and I think the two ingredients were what you needed to handle Jerry. Raymond was very respectful of him and respectful of his history.
I love it. Hold it together, Lee. I mean, Jerry would want you to laugh today. Hold it together, but thank you. Very nice comments. We'll take a break. Byron York up next. And if you have not yet tried Genucel, then, my friend, what are you waiting for? You got to call right now. During this limited time, Chamonix wants you to try Genucel and its immediate effects for 50% off. So it's easy. You just order the Genucel for bags and puffiness. Do it today, and you get Chamonix's new, this is great, especially toward the end of summer, the Platinum Tan Enhancing Body Lotion is a free gift. So you get perfect hydration, tan, and protection. So you can look like you're tan and healthy and maintain that summer glow even after summer's long gone. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some free time before school and everything else hits. And you can say goodbye to those bags and puffiness under your eyes. You can just call them at 800-480-5206. That's 800-480-5206. Chamonix has just this great sale. Again, you get the Platinum Tan Enhancing Body Lotion while supplies last. Again, 2 more weeks only, half-price clearance sale, 800-480-5206 or Genucel.com.
There are a lot of people in the middle, on the left, even on the right, who are very troubled because they believe President Trump has difficulty condemning white supremacists. You think he's concerned about alienating bigots because they might be a part of his base?
Look, I think it's all about people getting to him and explaining to him we've got to bring the country together. And, blaming one side or another when we're talking about the KKK or white supremacists, there is no comparison between these hate groups and everybody else.
Kasich was on CNN, and you know what happens when John Kasich comes on TV? I go get a sandwich. Well, I got a sock drawer to clean out. I just can't. There are certain people on television, God bless them, who I flee the TV. So I went up, it was in the morning, we were going to late mass. So I went up to take a shower, and he was on with Jake Tapper. I took a shower, put a little makeup on, freshen up, come downstairs, going to make some coffee. I said, okay, I left the TV on. I swear I could still hear John Kasich's voice. I said, no, they must be playing a clip of Kasich, because there's no way he can. Is he co-hosting with Jake Tapper now?
Like a half
he
hour
was
interview.
on. They must have had a guest that canceled or something. John Kasich is a never-Trumper. He hates Donald Trump. Now, there were things he could have said that would have been worse than what he said, because he frankly didn't go as far as some of these Republicans. But when someone says we have to keep talking about race in the country, I said we've been talking about race since the 60s. Before then. Know what we need is an economy that is humming, where people can get jobs and support their families. We need a spiritual renewal in America. We do not need a government that continues to dictate the terms of people's lives. That's what we don't need. It seems like we have more colloquies on race on college campuses, in town hall events, at protests. It's the Black Power sign now with the Nazi symbol with the line through it. Yeah, we're all against Nazis. We get it. Okay, understood. Now what are you going to do to help people? But John Kasich, it's just this pablum that comes out of Kasich. I can't. But I swear, is he still on? Just put CNN on. Let me see if Kasich's still on, because that interview just never ended. Byron York is one of our favorites from the Washington Examiner, as the president is going to announce his Afghanistan policy after a weekend at Camp David with the warmongers. I mean, with the generals. And Byron York joins us now. Byron, do you know what I mean about Kasich? Like, he's on TV, and I think, I can miss this. There are certain things that I just feel like I can miss this, and I come back and he's still on. Never ends.
Well, it was like the Republican primaries. He just kind of stayed a little too long. Remember that?
No, I'm still trying to figure out that Indiana strategy when he was going to drop out, and then Cruz was going to come in, then Cruz picks Fiorina, then she falls off the stage the next day, and that all worked. She was doing her best Jerry Lewis there.
Trump had state after state after state and had
Right.
this huge delegate lead, and Kasich had won his home state, and that was it.
Yeah.
And, shortly before the convention, it was down to 2. Trump versus Kasich.
The reason I'm bringing this up, because it's fun to remember these things, and I just recounted some of this stuff for my book that's coming out in October, so it's all fresh in my mind. But the reason I'm bringing it up is it's similar to what's happening now, where they're writing Trump's obituary. It's over for Trump. Then you look at the polls, he's pretty much has the approval rating that he had the day after the election. I actually think it's possible, Byron, that not a single mind has been changed about Donald Trump. I actually think that is possible. Not one person has really changed his or her mind about Trump. The never-Trumpers hate him. They never wanted him to do well. The establishment people never really liked him. They grudgingly went along to go on his stupid business councils and stuff. And the people who like Trump say, look, he's not perfect, but he's our guy, and we're going to ride this horse to the end. I really think that.
The issue of polls is something really important with Trump, and you would think that after this last election, all of us would be a little more modest about reporting on polls. But basically, the issue with Trump has always been this is a man who was elected a president on a day in which he had 60% personal disapproval rating. The exit polls from last year's election show that 60% said they had a unfavorable impression of Trump, and the other polls from around that time were the same number. So he has this number, and yet he gets elected president. So what does that tell us? Well, now, of course, Trump did not have a job approval rating back then. He had to actually become president. So now we see his job approval rating turn out to be just about what the personal approval rating was back on election day. And so what does that tell us? Look, he's not popular with a significant portion of the country, but it tells you that he's pretty popular with the others. And how well can he govern from 35 to 40% job approval rating? Because, as you know, members of Congress, especially in the Senate, they watch that job approval rating of the president and wonder if they have to be intimidated or not. So can he govern with that I don't know. But as far as an election is concerned, or his overall approval is concerned, you have to look at Trump, I think, differently than you looked at previous presidents.
Yeah, again, the siege mentality that working class people have felt like they were operating in for years. They feel like they're under siege. Now they're racist. Now they all like the KKK. They're horrible, awful, rotten people. And it's beyond clear that they're hated by at least half the country hates the working class people, the people who voted for Trump. It doesn't even matter what color they are. You can be black, supported Trump, you're still a racist. You're still a KKK. Look what they're saying about Ben Carson. Ben Carson is essentially, hates black people, according to Maxine Waters. And people are tired of it. I just think the regular people are tired of it. And now the left, Byron, is using threats of violence or actual violence to intimidate people from speaking out. Craig Shirley reminded me of that yesterday. He said, that's scary when you have a violent mob who has a aim of silencing millions of Americans, lest they be subjected to the violence or the branding of your racist, pick your poison. That's scary.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about that is given this current atmosphere and debate, one could envision the president's surrogates and supporters going out and making these arguments very forcefully in the media, while the president himself focuses on jobs, the economy, infrastructure, opportunity in America, and all of that sort of stuff, and really keeps himself focused on that. And I think both of us were, unhappy with infrastructure, the infrastructure event last week, which turned into a free-ranging Trump press conference when everybody knew, how that was going to turn out. So it seems to me it is the president's responsibility, knowing these issues that got him elected, and basically the issues that got him elected were more jobs and better wages. I mean, domestically, that's it. And it seems to me that he could be spending a lot more time on that and not feel as if he has to win every Twitter
argument.
Battle, every argument, because he's the president and he doesn't have to engage.
But he's not. He's not going to change. So here's now. I'm of this view, Byron, and a good friend of mine who works in the administration said to me yesterday, "Why are people thinking he's going to change? Don't say he's got to be president. He is who he is. Now what? He is who he is. He's not going to change. He's not going to apologize. He's not going to prostrate himself to the American media and say, oh, you're right. I should have emoted. He's not going to do any of that. He's just not going to do it. So now the pressure has to be on Republicans on Capitol Hill. McCain, Sass, Graham, Flake, all of these senators who have been whipping up this anxiety even further in this country, and throw Cory Gardner in there, the fresh-faced Gardner who's never liked Trump, never comes on the show either. He gives me a smile when I see him, but he never comes on the show, which is a tell. If you don't come on the show as a Republican, that's a tell, okay? That's my litmus test. Sorry, but it is. They're afraid to answer questions, listen to having my listeners hear them, then they're up to no good. All of those senators have to be pressured to pass tax reform. If tax reform is not passed by this Senate, in this House of Representatives, the blame is squarely on them. They can't hold up their hands and go, Trump's bad. We're not going to do tax reform. Trump's bad. He's racist. I don't think people are going to like that at all.
Well, a couple of things. One, I'm going to push back a little bit on this Trump will never change stuff. I mean, there are elements of that are true. But, he actually got better in the campaign. If you remember, his speeches became a bit more disciplined.
When? When? What are you talking about?
Last couple of months. Listen, if you went to his speeches, you went to his events in the early primary months, and then you went in the later primary, in the general election, he was much more on message. He was much more focused. He actually did change and get better at something that was causing him trouble, because he would go all over the place. He'd speak for an hour.
You say, so you're saying he'll do the speeches with the teleprompter. That was
well,
better.
He's capable of improvement, is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm talking about what they're trying to get him to do. They're trying to turn him into a perpetually apologetic, dancing to their tune because MSNBC says he's a racist. NBC says he's a racist. He's going to call out MSNBC. That's just what he's going to do. And I wouldn't do that. It's not how I would recommend. It's not how I've told him to. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't listen to most people. But he's going to do what he's going to do. And all I'm saying is, don't look for a big epiphany. Donald Trump's going to become like Marco Rubio, or going to become like don't know, whoever, John McCain,
No,
and like
they're looking.
Not going to happen.
If they're looking for confession and apology, they're going to be looking for a long time.
Right.
Now, on this issue of tax reform, though, as we both know, the president's far more interested in that than he was in Obamacare. And I find it hard to believe that any of these senators are going to stand in the way, oppose a Republican tax reform measure because they don't like Donald Trump. I mean, maybe they will, but I just really, really doubt it. So I think that what we'll see is if Trump focuses on issues, he'll get coalitions of convenience on Capitol Hill that support him.
Well, they better, and this is where the voters and the constituents have to put the real pressure on. Deliver a bill to the president's desk that he can sign, period. Get it done. Stop whining and complaining about the tone in the country. Do something for the country. We have to ask you about Bannon's departure. Happened after our show went off the air on Friday. But the left wanted a scalp. The Antifa movement wanted him out. Republican Never-Trumpers wanted him out. The establishment never liked Bannon. Of course, a couple things Bannon did at the beginning didn't work out as well as they could have with the rollout, like the travel ban. But nevertheless, he does represent an identity for the party and for the movement that is important. In his absence, who will wave that banner of populism in the administration?
Well, I think the answer is possibly nobody. I mean, first of all, this wasn't a surprise. He was on thin ice for quite a while, and certainly the American Prospect interview probably was the final blow. But
hadn't he already submitted his resignation basically before then? That's what he said. I think that was like he already knew he was on its way out, so it was like
But the problem here is that Saturday Night Live called him evil and he's the real president and blah blah blah.
Yeah, because he's successful.
The problem was that Bannon's biggest issues were the ones that were the most successful for Trump in the campaign. Why he got elected on trade and on immigration and on jobs and on foreign entanglements, that is, staying out of them. So those were Trump's big issues, and the degree to which he gets away from that is the degree to which he becomes just a conventional Republican and loses that special appeal that he has. And I believe, and I'm sure you do too, that special appeal is why he won Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And if he gets away from that, he's not going to succeed as a conventional Republican.
No, I think conventional Republicans lost their home states in most primaries. And everybody who understands the last, 2 years in American politics sees that the establishment has very little constituency on a national basis. They can win state races and they can win here and there, but I bet you that Jeff Flake could hand out $100 bills and he still wouldn't fill a stadium in Arizona. And Donald Trump will have thousands and thousands of people show up for him when he gives a speech. Who knows what he'll announce? Maybe he'll announce that he's supporting Kelly Ward for Senate, but there'll be a lot of pushback within the party on that, including from Mitch McConnell. So we'll see which way Donald Trump goes there. What's your sense on that? Do you think he'll support the challenger to Flake?
If he doesn't, what's he been saying for the last few weeks?
Yeah. Well, he better. I think he should. He has to. I mean, Flake is, Flake's one goal is to get Trump out of office. So he got to work
to pass comprehensive immigration.
Exactly. Thank you, Open Borders Jeff. Byron York, thank you so much. Great to talk to you as always from the Washington Examiner and Fox News. Don't go away. So now it looks like Colin Kaepernick has made the African American History Museum in Washington.
Justice Thomas still?
Justice Thomas is not featured in the museum.
So the second Supreme Court justice does not get
second black Supreme Court justice.
Not even a broom closet at the African American Museum.
He doesn't get a plaque in the men's room. He gets nothing. But Colin Kaepernick, who now there's this national movement.
What did he do?
He
I know
sat
what he did, but
he
so
sat
what?
on his tuchus instead of standing for the national anthem.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
where we are in America today. Justice Thomas not in the Black History Museum. Colin Kaepernick is. 855-40-LAURA. Stettler, you're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. He's the CNN media critic, and I'm kind of going back and looking at old Brian Stettler analysis from 2016, and we're talking about who's fit and who's not, and who has a problem processing information and who's not. But perhaps we should look into the mirror over there at CNN. Go through people's. They like to go through Trump's Twitter feed. That's fine. Let's go through your own and see what you were saying a year ago about the election. How about the analysis about how Trump was over, finished, done? Billy Bush was the stake through the Trump heart. Then it was the Mexican judge. Then it was the Megyn Kelly back and forth right at the beginning of the primaries. But a man like this will never be. The American people will never, ever, ever. No, never going to do this. Never, never, never. He sent out a tweet in October 9th, 2016, with a quote around it, "How stupid is our country?" And he might have been referring to something, I don't know, Trump said, or I don't even know. But you just look back. I told my boys to go back and get some of the Stetler stuff from 2016, because we too can play this game. Questioning mental fitness.
He would never be the nominee, they said. They said that all these media imbroglios would doom his candidacy, doom his presidency. Guess what? His numbers are up again. I mean, that's look.
What did I say
much
last
to
week?
the chagrin of the media.
The left always takes it too far. They always take it too far. They think, okay, we won on this, we'll go to this. We were able to get a bunch of these statues taken down. Now we're gonna demand that
Columbus.
Mount Rushmore come down. Now we're going to demand that, the
Stone Mountain in
Stone
Georgia
Mountain come down. Now we're going to put up who's advocating some statue be erected instead
Missy Elliott. So somebody wants to take down a Confederate monument and put up a monument to Missy Elliott. I hope there's a big green patch of earth to carry that monument. That
Missy Elliott.
Missy Elliott, the
hip-hopper?
singer, yeah. I guess
she's
a
broken.
singer.
Well, I have a suggestion. Instead of Robert E. Lee, let's put up bronzes of Colin Kaepernick, because he really has done so much for America.
Oh, gosh.
So Colin Kaepernick really should just replace. Let's come up with all of the most absurd lefty heroes. So it'd be a Lady Gaga, Colin Kaepernick. Who else? Let's come up with a list of the Michael Moore. That'd be a lot of bronze. That's a lot of bronze. That bronze is
a Brian Williams journalistic statue. Perhaps that could replace Columbus in Columbus Circle.
Exactly. So Columbus Circle, rename all these
We
things.
could have him dropping from a helicopter, perhaps under fire, into a pool of water in New Orleans.
Exactly.
Where it's flooding. That would be a beautiful
So
bronze.
University of Texas, they've acted against their statues. Courage.
Duke took down
courage.
the Robert E. Lee.
Baltimore, courage. How many of you think race relations are going to now start getting better because the statues have come down? Do you see those protesters in Boston? You saw the Trump tweet. He's glad that they're standing against hate. He sent out some tweet on Sunday. My question was, when I saw the protests, why are they covering their faces? Do you think people should be allowed to protest with masks on? I don't think you should be allowed to protest with a KKK hood on, a mask on, any type of mask. I don't like that. This is a potential security nightmare for cities. If you want to come protest, get your permit, fine, protest peacefully, and show your face. Just because you can hide behind your anonymous perches on social media, when you come out and you want to protest, we want to see your face. We want to know who you are, just for security purposes. How many of you agree with me on that? Drew, get some of the pictures of the faces covered in Boston. And there was one little interstitial that I posted. I can't remember where I posted it. Maybe I tweeted it out. Of this older woman with an American flag, and one of those nasty Antifa protesters dragged the flag out of her hand and slapped the flag and dragged it. And the poor woman got dragged down the street for a little bit. She's fine, but just show some respect. Show some respect for yourself. Show a little bit of respect for your country. You get all the statues pulled down. You can intimidate some people from speaking out. Most people think that these Antifa people are a menace. They don't like them. They don't like what they do. They don't like what they stand for. They don't even... They don't see neo-Nazism as the big relevant issue of the day. They see the fringe should be remaining on the fringe. The freaky fringe should not get 24/7 media coverage. But the American media needs they desperately need the clicks and they need the eyeballs on the screen. So for clicks and eyeballs, they will do pretty much anything. And they'll keep this, white nationalism is growing in the United States, and it's because of Donald Trump. Nazis are marching again in Boston. I think, what was there, like 12 people? There were like 12 or 24 white nationalists in Boston. I don't even know where they found these people. They're irrelevant.
No.
They have no power at any level of society, zero.
So you've got thousands of people marching.
A lot of them with masks on. You see the masks? Yep. I don't like those masks. I don't like them. I don't like the masks. They frighten people. Masks frighten people. That's why I don't like the full veil.
Okay, here's what I really want to know about
veil.
From you this morning. It's really important. This day is so important and waiting.
The eclipse? What am I going to do?
I want to know, what are you doing to commemorate the eclipse? I've gotten a lot of hate on social media for saying, if I hear one more news story about the eclipse, I'm going to punch somebody's lights out.
All right, good.
But your thoughts on the eclipse? Do you have your glasses?
No, I didn't get them. I didn't get them. I didn't get them. And I do remember as a little kid when there was an eclipse. It must have been, I don't even remember, 1979 there was a solar eclipse. I don't think it was a full or something, but I remember being so scared because where people were talking about getting blinded. When you're a kid and you hear blind, getting blinded, I was
scared. You look into the sun, you get blind. That's I think, by the way, you're going to have more retinal damage today than any day ever, because they're all putting on these stupid glasses, some of which
China
are not, they're not really legitimate. You can ruin your sight by looking into the sun for too long.
Why do you look in the sun?
To watch the eclipse. They're looking up to watch the eclipse. So you can
look at, what's that thing where you put a hole through like a cereal box?
Yes.
How do you see the eclipse through a hole? I don't understand that.
You're looking at it the other way around or something. So you're not looking directly into it.
Look through a hole. Like, no, I'm not going to look. I'll watch it on TV. If you watch it on TV, it's fine, right? Just watch it on TV. That's the easiest place. And you can watch it online. You don't get any blind.
I hate to tell you, but if you were the planet behind us, every night is an eclipse, okay?
Yeah.
Because the Earth blocks the sun.
24/7 is the eclipse.
It's like, okay.
But in Jackson Hole, where I was a couple weeks ago, the paraphernalia that they've pushed out for the eclipse is just hilarious.
Somebody's making a mint.
Oh, no. The T-shirts and it's like the Super Bowl for Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Got 50,000, and they're having big festivals. And you know what? Here's what I think. This is what I think about it. So little brings the country together anymore.
You're actually for the eclipse. Now you're for the eclipse.
But the reason people are so...
Now I'm getting converted.
The reason you're getting a little verklempt about
I am.
Yeah, what are we doing? We're in a meeting, I think. Don't we have a meeting during the eclipse? That's our eclipse. We got work to do. I don't have time to be going out. Well, what are you doing for the eclipse? Working. What are you doing? Oh, well, we have a block party. Someone's having a block party near me. They're closing down the street, a block party. The eclipse lasts 2 minutes. What are you going to do for the rest of the time? It's a block party. Do you have jobs? No one works. A block party. I've never heard anything like this. It's the craziest thing. Okay, we had a meltdown at my house last night that Raymond witnessed. Raymond witnessed the meltdown, which is when you really at the point where you need kids to go back to school. My kids will go back to school next Monday.
We're going to talk about this later.
Okay, we'll do it on. But it's a meltdown of tired children who need to be in bed earlier. I'll say it because there's more of it.
Go ahead. No,
Nico walks into the kitchen last night around 9:15, and he's holding a remote control to my downstairs television set. Mommy, I can't. Netflix is not. Mama, Netflix is not coming on the TV. I can't. This is a message that said, put in your passcode, Mama, and I'm Netflix. And he has his front tooth out, so he has the lisp. The Netflix is not working on the TV. You get a message. Raymond, what did I do? I got down close to him. And he was really tired. I better not ever hear you talking about Netflix to me and how it doesn't work. Because guess what? Next week is school. There ain't no TV. School starts. No TV. You got DVD if you're good on the weekends. Got no TV during the week. But he's looking through Netflix. But it was going to be a kids' Netflix thing. But then I look at Raymond, I said, okay, we got to get these kids back to school. It's like your kids are already back to school, right?
Yep.
New
They
Orleans.
went back last week. Yeah.
They got out early, though.
And I dropped my Alex off, which we have to talk about. I need a little therapy for that.
Dropping your child off at school. See, Alex is the kind of person who's comforting his father. Dad, it's all right. I'm cool. Let's go. Alex is basically already president of this freshman class at Notre Dame. He already has it all wired.
He's got a posse. I walk into the lunch. I think, I'll go have lunch with him, make him feel good. I walk in. I'm like, can I sit here? And there's like 6 kids at the table. Oh, yeah. Well, you move over, John. And Sarah, you come over here by me. And I'm like,
I don't know, Raymond.
I'm not needed.
I don't think you have
Totally
to worry.
Not needed.
Here was my emotional moment with my family. Because Raymond's at Notre Dame for about 4 days. I kept texting him, are you relocating?
Yeah,
are you relocating? How many events for the parents? It is all a money play. They want you to keep donating money to the school. And they want you as connected to the school as he is. So it's fine. But here was my emotional farewell to my mother. Bye. See ya. We'll see you at Easter. See you at Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Easter is almost that. But they dropped my junk off. We might have had lunch at the Hanover Inn or something. Then they left. They didn't go to events.
Well, they now have these events for many days.
Ridiculous. And by the way, I'm already getting the error-filled emails from my kids' school for the kindergarten and first grade. It's never a good sign, God bless her, when a teacher sends me an email that has about 3 or 4 grammatical errors with multiple exclamation points.
Are you sending back a red-letter draft?
I'm about to. And she's a young teacher. But how do you send an email to parents? The first communication you send to them, maybe not spelling, but grammatical errors and multiple exclamation points. It's like an 8th grader's like going out on the first day. We can't wait. We get to dance this weekend. And God bless you, nice person, but I think people get a little too loose with the language in emails. No. Here's a message. 1 exclamation point will do, and use them sparingly. 855-40-LAURA, Mommy Dearest, comes back. You guys hear me from time to time talk about how I've had trouble sleeping in the past. Pillows will go flat, and then you end up tossing and turning all night long. You wake up with a sore neck. It's horrible. My friends, when I changed and started using MyPillow, I started almost immediately sleeping better. MyPillow gets me to sleep and more deeply and faster than when I use the old traditional pillows. MyPillow is manufactured right here in the United States, and it comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and the best part is you get a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Right now, my friends at MyPillow have come up with their best offer ever. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-385-5164 and use promo code LAURA, and you'll take advantage of 50% off MyPillow's 4-pack special. And now when you order, MyPillow is going to give you free shipping as well. Go again to MyPillow.com or call 800-385-5164 and use the promo code LAURA. Take advantage of the 50% off MyPillow's 4-pack special. Don't delay. 40 Laura. Well, I think the elites in the media were stunned on election night. Their faces, their expressions, it was like they had the wind knocked out of them on set, one after the other. It was a great sight to see, wasn't it? Remember that election night? Well, it's almost like it never happened. They think that because Brian Stetler emotes about Donald Trump, could he be a white supremacist? Could he be suffering from a mental illness? That anyone cares what he says. So we have this reporter, Scott Bauer from the Associated Press, goes to Wisconsin, and he's like, well, people like Trump still like him.
I talked to a Trump supporter in western Wisconsin last week who said, nothing in his mind had changed over the past week, and the people he talked with at the high school football game that Friday night, they just don't believe anything they hear from the media, and they remain completely committed to Trump, and they feel like, he makes some ill-advised comments, maybe his timing's not so great, but he's the same guy he was in November when they voted for him.
Yeah, I think it is entirely possible that not a single mind has been changed about Trump over the past 2 weeks. I think people know that he's not a politician. He's not as smooth. He's probably not going to give a speech on on race that's going to make everybody feel a lot better in the immediate aftermath of an event. Not because he's a racist, because he's like, yeah, these are people are freaks. The white nationalists are freaks. There are probably some other people in the crowd who just wanted the statues to stay. But meanwhile, people getting violent and out of control. But I don't know a single person who thinks Donald Trump is a racist or who is a Nazi or anti-Semitic. He's anti-Semitic with a Jewish daughter and Jewish grandchildren, and again, none of that computes to people. The pressure right now has to be put on these Republicans to deliver the goods. No, not impeachment. Deliver the legislative successes for the country that are needed. Tax reform. Tax reform has got to be done. So for all the time that Ben Sass and Jeff Flake and John McCain and Lindsey Graham and Cory Gardner all spend on talking about whether Trump's tone is right, imagine if they spent all that time talking about how the country desperately needs tax reform. Let's say they spent half of the time in interviews with the press, redirecting the interview to tax reform. Think how much better off would be as a country. Let's go to Chrissy in Texas, line 2. Very quickly, Chrissy.
Hey there. Love Jerry Lewis. I grew up watching reruns. Absolutely love him. I think he gives me half my sense of humor.
Aww.
And then before the break, I totally agree with you. The common average person in America, which makes up America, we are sick of the crapola. From fake media all the way to the crazy Democrats. Everybody needs to put America first. And
I love it. Sorry we had to cut you off there. Running a little late. We're going to talk to Matt Schlapp. He's going to stop by for the American Conservative Union. You have a lot more to get to. Raymond Arroyo is in the house on the Laura Ingraham Show. Every weekend you have 2 choices. You can lock into relax mode or knock out your list of home improvement projects. Oh, no. I have stuff on the floor in my house after moving in, that stuff I should put up on the walls. I'm thinking it's going to be easier when I move out of my current house just to keep it in the bubble wrap on the floor. That way I can throw it right back in the boxes and wish I moved it, right? I'm telling you, stuff's in bubble wrap. I think this is much easier when I move. Just throw it back in the box. Don't even have to repack it. Don't you love what they charge for bubble wrap, by the way? I'll bubble wrap them. Back to the issue. You have to check out my friends at selectblinds.com. They made 2 of my rooms, Select Blinds. Awesome. Really cool. Really easy to install, really easy to use. Beautiful quality. The quality you see at all the home improvement shows that you watch on TV. Also, the fabrics, if you get the Roman shades, cool, great fabrics. Can work in almost any room. And the specialists at selectblinds.com will actually walk you through how to measure, choose, and install these window coverings. To get the best deal on these blinds, shades, and shutters, shop today. Go to selectblinds.com. And remember, mention the Laura Ingraham Show at checkout in the drop-down menu. So go to selectblinds.com. It'll protect you from what's left of the summer heat and the damaging rays of the sun at selectblinds.com. Getting ready for the eclipse, are you? Have that picnic basket packed and your pinhole that you're going to watch it through, or the reflection on the... People are looking, well, you can look at a reflection on the ground. On the ground? I don't even understand that. I'm going to work. We got a meeting right when it's happening. The eclipse. That's Adam Schiff with, who is he on with? Jake Tapper?
Jake Tapper.
Jake Tapper...
Mr. Positive.
Jake Tapper has a very dour delivery at times. Very dour. Very negative. He does a lot of good stuff for the troops, though. I like that book he did about Afghanistan and the troops. He's a big supporter of the troops, Jake Tapper. But, I mean, the Democrats get a lot of free reign. I think you got to challenge these people more on these interviews. A lot of people are saying it's okay to threaten and use violence to intimidate other people's speech. Well, when I say saying it, it's implicit. People are afraid to speak out, so these universities... Instead of prosecuting the vandals of the property, they're rushing to tear these statues down. They did it at the University of Texas, did it at Duke. In Durham, we saw the statue come down. Other localities, of course, New York, of course. That towering example of courage, Andrew Cuomo acted against the Confederate plaques. Oh, no, it's all. And New Orleans has these now scars where by the way, Raymond Arroyo is with us. Raymond, the Jackson statue.
Andy Jackson in Jackson Square in front of the cathedral.
Yeah. I think it was Walter Isaacson, who said last week that he didn't think it looked like a scarred landscape. He's like, you couldn't even really tell it was down. I don't get that. You could.
Well, Andy Jackson is still up.
Which is the one that was pulled down?
It's that was
the Lee statue.
Yeah, General Lee Circle is gone.
That's the one he was talking about.
And Beauregard outside of City
he
Park.
He agreed with you on Beauregard.
Yeah, Walter would.
He
agree
agreed with
me.
you on that.
Beauregard had an amazing history. He built schools for black children after the war. That's a great story. Now I want to read you this.
Yeah.
This is the University
Matt
of Texas at Austin.
Yeah.
Matt will want to chime in on this.
Bring Matt in.
Yeah,
Matt,
why
I feel
not?
like we're talking about you. We're talking about Matt Schlapp from the American Conservative Union like he's not listening. Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm used to this, Laura. I'm used to being talked about.
Oh, you got Mercedes.
Me too, my house.
Yeah, because Mercedes is going to take the convo over real fast. Okay, so Matt, we're talking about the insanity of both the media coverage. They're all now just concluding that either Trump is mental or he's a racist, closet racist, or it's all coming apart at the seams. And Raymond's going to read something. Go ahead.
I got to read you this, Matt. Now, this is Gregory Fenves, who is the president of the University of Texas at Austin. And he writes today, early this morning, during the past several days, I have talked to student leaders, student faculty members, staff members, and alumni to listen to their views after the revelatory events in Charlottesville. And he decided to remove statues of Robert E. Lee, Albert Sidney Johnston, John Reagan, and James Stephen Hogg from the main mall. And this is what I find kind of silly. The University of Texas at Austin is a public education and research institution, first and foremost. The historical and cultural significance of the Confederate statues on our campus and the connections that individuals have to them are severely compromised by what they symbolize.
What?
The University of Texas at Austin has a duty to preserve and study history, but our duty also compels us to acknowledge that those parts of our history that run counter to the university's core values, the values of our state, the values of our nation, do not belong on pedestals in the heart of the 40 acres. Now,
wow.
How do you study and honor history if you rip it down and remove it? I'm not.
They want to put it in the
following
museums. Now what they say is, they can go to museums until they deface them in the museums. Oh, they're not going to tolerate the museums, by the way. Those Antifa people will throw stuff in the museums, throw paint on them. But Matt, what's your take on all of this? I mean,
Let me make a couple of points. We've been talking about this for a long time, and nobody should be deceived. This really isn't about taking down the statues of segregationists or racists. Mm-mm. This is about going right after the founders.
Right.
And so what they really intend to do is take down Thomas Jefferson at UVA and Monticello and take down any reference to George Washington anywhere, any slaveholder anywhere. And I think we have to make a distinction quickly. There were segregationist intent in the 1950s during Jim Crow, where they put the stars and bars up and they put statues up in an attempt to break the law, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. I'm really not for those statues, but the idea of going after people who were, they definitely stood for the South, and the North won the war, and you know what we did as a country? We came back together.
Right.
And that's what these statues were about. It was about healing after a civil war. I actually think the people behind this don't want to heal America. They want to undo America.
Yeah, they think America was founded as a corrupt nation. It was corrupt because at the heart of it were the thinking of these white, privileged, in many cases aristocrats who came together to establish the new republic, but that in their hearts they didn't understand the diversity that is so heralded and so cherished today, and they tolerated a lot of injustice. Even beyond the issue of race, they tolerated injustice, women not having the right to vote, the ways that the Indians were treated. I mean, the next will be the Indians. What you did to the Indians. If you did anything to the Indians, then you're going to be also, reviled or expunged from the public square. So I think you're right. It's a way to go after our Constitution. I think it's a way to go after obviously the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. If the documents themselves were written by corrupt men who were corrupted, then how about the amendments? I the Second Amendment, I'm telling you, it's never about the thing. It's always about the bigger thing.
Right.
I always say this.
The other piece here is that if you realize that they're actually going after the foundations of our country, and the beautiful part about our country and its founding was that people from different regions and the different colonies came together, even though they had this great moral disagreement over slavery. It means that nobody gets out of the box. Nobody, Benjamin Franklin, nobody gets out of this box because they went along with the compromise to start the country. By the way, this was happening all throughout Europe, and this was happening. The issue of slavery was a moral question that the civilized world had to deal with, and they all came to the right conclusion in the end. It doesn't mean everything about that civilization was bad. In fact, the creation of many of these countries, and certainly the creation of America, can you imagine if the globe didn't have America? It would be, I'm not so sure we'd have civilization.
No, I think you're right, and certainly it would look a lot darker.
The real problem here is also one of ignorance of American history and the figures that created it. And I worry when you eradicate all image and vestige of these people. Look, Ben Franklin, I didn't know Ben Franklin had slaves. I knew nothing about this. He had 2 slaves, apparently, in Pennsylvania. Well, who knew? Now, are we going to rip down and destroy Ben Franklin, this great patriot, the founding father, a man of such contradictions, interesting shadows in his history, too? But that is what a great country is made from, the imperfections of man. And I think when you look at that and you say, look, Robert E. Lee had amazing contributions, there was also a dark side here. There's also something that needs to be considered. But after the war, he did try to bring people together. That should be honored.
Right.
That's the message of unity as Americans that we need. And I think when we start tarring people with a big brush and our contemporary eyes, we lose historical moments and lessons for our children. That's bad. Now, have you seen this, Matt? Junipero Serra, the man the Franciscan who came and settled the West Coast, founded the missions. They've now thrown red paint all over his statue down there. Joan of Arc in New Orleans, they've defaced her, thinking she's a Confederate statue, dummies. I mean, it is.
You know where this is going next. I mean, that's about the treatment. Junipero Serra is about the treatment of Native Americans, but you know what where this is going next.
Catholic schools, Catholic
that's right. Any saint of the church, any person who stands for these traditional values, traditional marriage,
the
right
saints.
to life.
Oh yeah, you're all on the funeral pyre. You're all thrown on the funeral pyre because you're all one and the same. If you were against gay marriage, you're just like a KKK.
Well, then Martin Luther King's going to have to come down.
Yeah, bring down King,
right.
then, if that's where they're going.
And the silliness is some of these statues were just erected while now there's an effort to tear them down. And you know what we said about the Taliban, remember? And these theocratic, hatred, hate-filled countries that rip down the religious artifacts of the people who came before them. And the left says, oh my gosh, that is just so against our values. And look at the left. They share those values.
Well, yeah, imagine if one of these any of these crazy white nationalist types went and threw paint on Martin Luther King statue. Can you imagine how the press would cover that? Can you imagine how the press would cover any vaunted hero of the left? I mean, they would go crazy. They would say, you can't do this. This is rule, law, and order. We know you disagree with some of the things. They would never tolerate it.
But the other piece here is we have to remember, and I'll put my political consultant hat on here, which is the Republican Party, which is often cowardly at these moments, needs to remind the American people that, we did wage a civil war. The Republican Party was an outgrowth of the desire to stop slavery. We did pass the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and Civil Rights Acts in the 1960s, of which the Republican Party was the major thrust behind. We have a great story, and conservatives have a great story to tell here. Don't let the left, which is based in the Democratic Party, lecture us on these questions of civil rights. They get away with it, and they shouldn't.
We refuse to let them define us, given their own sordid past and their own stains of racism and bigotry that imbued their own party and their own movement. And now their movement is based in threats of violence, lawlessness, intimidation, open borders, changing and devaluing essential values like patriotism, love of country, love of flag, love. And that's what they stand for. And I'm telling you, they have taken it too far. They can take all the statues down they want. Most regular people, working class people, don't like it. They don't like this at all. I think Trump's numbers go up. I think let's go on to Bannon very quickly. We're almost out of time. Bannon pushed out of the White House on Friday. And I tweeted out, and I said to the New York Times in an interview, question is, who's left inside the White House to fight for the Trump populist nationalist agenda when you have Gary Cohn and, Jared, Ivanka, Dina Powell, nice people, and they've done some good things. But, does the Trump agenda get deep six? We're going to see perhaps a big surge of American troops in Afghanistan. I don't think people voted for a big surge in Afghanistan in November. I think they want out of this war after 16 years. But it looks like Trump is going to be dragged down that path.
Yeah, I think it's a real question. I think you know the president well. I think he knows his own head. And I think he's the one who drives many of the issues you just described. And yes, he has a diverse group of people around him in the White House. But I find that the president seems to talk to who he wants to talk to, whether they work for him or not. I don't think this relationship with Steve Bannon is going to change much. I wish he had stayed. I wish he had played his hand better internally in the White House. But, by the same token, Laura, these are exhausting jobs.
Yeah, they are
spiritually,
tiring.
emotionally. Look at Steve, look at a picture of him before and a picture of him after. I mean, it takes a toll, and it's okay after a year to try to do it another way. And I think in the role he's going to play at Breitbart and his outside activities, he could actually be even more effective for some of these issues we care about.
We love having you on, Matt, doing great work on Fox and beyond. Mercedes is just a star. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And hey, in case you hadn't heard, Matt, when you look at the eclipse, look at it through a hole in a cereal box, okay? Because you can damage your corneas. So I'll get
just like I do with the New York Times, the same thing.
Matt Schlapp, don't go away.
The Laura Ingraham Show.
If the players want to go out there and get some sunglasses and look at it, I guess they can. I watch the Weather Channel every day. They're already saying what it's going to look like in every city in America, so what's going to be significant? My house will probably be the only empty house on the whole lake, so I'm going to watch it on TV. Maybe we should have a team meeting about how we're going to do this. I haven't thought of that yet.
Reason to love Nick Saban, coach of the 2017 national champions. I'm sorry, but I'm going out on a limb. Clemson's not going to be a problem this year for Alabama. I'm sorry, all you Auburn fans. I know you get mad at me every time I say that, but Nick Saban has my view. I watch it on TV. 855-40 Laura. Are you watching the eclipse? What are you doing? How are you experiencing it? We'll talk about it. Special report in Hannity tonight. Tune in.